Give it a second here. Turning my phone off. Welcome to Vlog Thursday. Tom Lawrence here. Oh, you know what I said I was going to do? And I'm going to still do it. So I'll give you guys something to stare at. Look at this silliness. I posted this on Twitter. That thing is stupid big. And it always takes a few minutes for people to get here. So I'm going to go grab something really quick. Hot sauce. We talked about starting off with hot sauce because the first couple minutes, and people always ask for hot sauces. Plus, this is stupid, isn't it? Oh, man. So, hey, awesome. Skip Oliva's here in Sweden. Got people representing from Sweden. Awesome. YouTube should be automatic like Twitch. Yeah. Yeah. This is... I don't know. I was greatly amused by it. But, oh, the camera, I don't have that. I had the camera pointing completely in the wrong direction. I was going to say I can turn on the other camera. This is Melinda's original habanero garlic pepper sauce. And just, you know, to comment on different hot sauces, this one's really good. Oh, the garlic and habaneros, man. It is awesome. Thank you very much, William Daughtery. Always appreciated. So I'm going to have a bite of this real quick. Sorry for the chip noises that you are about to hear for those of you like myself who can't stand chewy noises, which include my own. Oh. That was accidental. It cracked. Anyways. Ah. I'm going to have one more chip, and then we'll get this show on the road here. That chip fell apart, I mean. And now I need a napkin. That's all right, though. I can make that happen. A little more hot sauce, a little habanero. The habanero sauce. I'll be back 1 second. I got a little sticky on me. I don't want it on my keyboard. But I don't know if we should do that, like a hot sauce of the day, hot sauce of the Thursday, and we'll start out that. A few people ask about hot sauce videos, but I love hot sauce. I am definitely a hot sauce addict. I was laughing. Someone tweeted out some Nope sauce. I thought that was great. So, anyways, back to Vlog Thursday. XCP-ng, VMware, UniFi, open source, and ask me anything. So, let's see. What do we got in here? Denmark, Netherlands, Sweden, Italy. Hello from Texas. Texas, man, that's a place. You guys got your own toast. That's pretty cool. Let's see what else we have here. Have you tried smart mode and XCP-ng backup update? Did they work like 1 or 2 times? So let me turn on my XCP-ng server. I didn't do that before the video. I think that was probably a prerequisite I should have done beforehand. Didn't do, but I'm going to do right now is we'll fire this thing up, because that's at least the first important thing we can do is turn it on, and then we'll make that happen. Oh, great. There we go. Get the password typed in. Cool. All right. Hopefully no one guessed my password by hearing all the types and clicking and noises that it just made. I'll show you what I'm doing, though. So here's the server. We're going to power it up. That way, by the time we get to talking about it, I'll answer some questions. I have some new videos I'm working on with XCP-ng. I'm also working on an interview with them. So, stuff coming through. Let me close all these extra things that may cause problems. all these screens that are opened up. Bring it back down to 1. There we go. Anyways, this is firing up right now, so while we're waiting for this, I'll switch back and forth and go there. But XCP-ng, I have the 8.1 loaded in my lab and on this box back here, so I'm going to be doing some more demo videos on it. It's really cool. I've started testing with the new private networking they have, and there's some things to getting it set up, so I'm going to do a video on covering how to set up private networking. I'm going to have more than one server tied together with private networking on it, so that's going to be kind of a fun video. And we have heard a couple interesting things about XCP-ng. One, I mentioned before, I think last week, they were adopted into the Linux Foundation. They're doing really well. They're seeing a big uptick, and a lot of it's related to VMware. So VMware, while also doing layoffs, has increased, and it's just the way their business model works. You know, I made some joke about it on Twitter, but that's the way their business model is. They charge for the licenses. They're changing their per core licensing because more of these computers, instead of per socket, are going per core. So there's going to be some price increases, and that's basically how that works. So they need to stay afloat versus the way XCP-ng, it's open source and they just charge for support. That is a different model. And it's funny because charging for support means you actually have to, provide the support that you're charging for versus the licenses. Well, I'm roped in, my infrastructure's there, and it's a pain to move, so I keep renewing the license fees, but their support is crap, blah, blah, blah. That is how the cycle runs with some of these other companies. That's why I'm a bigger fan of the open source model. It also comes down to a fundamental, very important piece, which is the comment I have all the time. Do you own your infrastructure? Do you own the things that are on there? And companies are looking more and more at this as a risk factor because your ownership is completely dependent on the licenses for it. And some companies go, wow, this is kind of a business risk because especially if these companies start having problems and they're laying off people, no, VMware is not going to business. I'm not implying that with VMware, but just thinking about this from a big picture perspective, the company has a deep interdependency on licenses that need to stay activated with the things that run their company and their critical business applications. So I think we're going to keep seeing, because technology doesn't drive these. They don't have like, oh, we use tech, but we can just fall back to paper. That's not even the case anymore. It's so intertwined. The dependency companies have has more companies thinking heavier and deeper about how much of this do we own, how much of this is really ours, because it is the lifeblood of us to go with this. It makes them scared to go with another startup because if that startup goes out of business, they can lose support. But it also does good for things like the...
Are you doing something with
yeah,
the test?
I turned it on.
It's like a jet engine.
Yeah, it does that until it boots. Okay. My staff's like, why did the server in the back room come on and make a lot of noise? So, yeah, they heard the server sounds like it's going to take off, so they're commenting on that. So, yeah, it's a really interesting thing to think about where these companies and the interdependencies they have on there. So it's just a big factor. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on production, storage, backup networks, VLAN or physical. I think you should have all those things. There's my thoughts. That's not really a question. I say that too because a lot of people say, what are your thoughts on? And if it's too vague, I have a hard time actually figuring out what the question is. What do you think about VLANs? They're good. I've done videos on them. What do you think about backups? You should back up. No, I'm not using Proxmox. So, woohoo, we got the first person asking me if we use Proxmox. Nope, not using Proxmox. Search my channel for the video on Proxmox. Open vSwitch. Yes, they are using a form of Open vSwitch on there. GRE tunneling with encryption, GRE encrypted tunnels, VXLAN, and Open vSwitch. It's going to be diving into it a little bit of how the system works. Do you know why USG Smart Queue as well DPI threat management affects speed of the internet on LAN? Yeah, because if you're using threat management, it uses the processor to calculate, or not calculate, to process the packets for the threat management. So if you're using it, it's going to slow it down. Also, we're right now, part of the call I was on in discussion with my technicians, it brought me a couple minutes late, was yet another problem with the USG not doing what the client wants. And we're just like, yeah, we literally told the person not to buy it. And now I had this discussion with someone yesterday that we did some consulting. They're just trying to get their USGs to get the most value out of them. And I'm like, I'm sorry. They just don't do the things you want to do. The only way to do it would be to edit the JSON file and hand write the code for it, which of course creates a whole different thing, and I just don't do that work because it breaks. So they finally admitted in the end, for all the things they want to do, they're going to have to go with something else, and pfSense was something else that they're probably going to be going with. So, the CDP, I don't know, but I know in Reddit, people talked about the mitigation for it. If you go in Reddit, NetSec, you can see the Cisco CDP, and people talked about mitigations for it. I haven't dove into it to really stare at it enough to figure out exactly what the mitigations are. What's the best way to add a second PoE switch, or should I just go get a large? You can daisy chain switches together. That's not a big deal. Is UniFi phoning home? There are certain models. I did a video on that topic, that phone home. As far as I know, you can block it. That's a up to you thing. I think this is a funny one. We got a few people, well, I'm looking for someone who doesn't phone home. Good luck. UniFi was one of the last companies that didn't have any type of analytics. It's to the point now where I can't. People want to know, and I'm like, build your own, but build your own hardware, design it yourself, and build it. There's not a lot out there that's good, I should say, because it's been a long time since I've done any testing in this, but you can make pfSense act as an access point. But that being said, it doesn't make an incredible access point. And outside of consumer hardware, which usually phones home too, there's not many things that don't phone home. A majority of these products either A, have a recurring license fee and phone home, or like UniFi doesn't have a recurring license fee and phones home. So your options, there's not a lot of them out there that don't have some type of component that sends some type of statistics and analytics. I mean, I'm sure if I did an exhaustive enough search and spent all day looking, I could probably find one. But to me, the anonymized data they send back that can be blocked is minor inconvenience for the product. And the reality is with these companies, I kind of see it from both sides. Like, hey, cool, I'm all about privacy. I also see it from the Ubiquiti side going, we need statistics so we can make the product better, and people aren't giving us any real feedback. Because the problem is, the only people they get feedback from are loud people who say, your crap doesn't work. Well, that didn't really help them. And sometimes even people who contact us, they just have it completely misconfigured. So I've had people tell, oh, this UniFi stuff's just crap. And I'm like, well, if you don't know how to configure it, anything's crap. It doesn't matter what brand you use. That's just the reality of it. Do I have a recommend for switch and WAP? Same thing I always say here in 2020 that I said in 2019 and 2019 and in 2018 and 2017. pfSense plus UniFi works great. So that would be my recommendation for a switch and WAP combo for a small church. Nope, I haven't used any of the Flex HDs yet. So, yes, move from VMware. That's actually a thing. So the XCP-ng people have said they have seen a big uptick in people switching over to them. They think it's related to VMware. And interesting enough, I was talking to the people at IX Systems, who I'm still doing some more reviews on that TrueNAS 250 terabyte server back here. They've seen a lot more people setting it up, and that's when they are going through the setup and asking how they're going to connect it, what they're going to connect it to, and configuring it. Zen server, as in the XCP-ng flavor, is coming up a whole lot more than it ever did before. Granted, it didn't exist before, so I guess it would have never come up before, but they're actually seeing just a lot of people doing it. And they said, hey, it's kind of cool. They like it. It's an open source project. So they've learned about it more and more through the fact that their customer base is using it. So we're seeing a lot more of that. So I think you're going to see more of these companies. And with the XCP-ng, the fact that you own the software, because the software is open source, and then now you're not tied to licensing fees. You can buy support on a more as-needed basis. So now your infrastructure becomes yours, like I said at the beginning of the video here. So it's a mix, whether people use iSCSI or NFS. I've done videos on it. They really are comparably very similar. Now, for high availability, I would say probably more people go with iSCSI, because iSCSI seems to fail over a little bit more seamless on a really high-end available system. But I don't know. I have one of each on the same server, and I can't ever decide which one I like better. They both work really well. Have I used a UniFi Dream Machine? Yeah, I did videos on the Dream Machine, so check my channel. You guys that ask questions, you should also look through my channel. There's a lot of this information. Like if you go to my channel, hit the search button and hit UniFi Dream Machine, you can learn all kinds of things that I've got 1,000 videos now. Well, I got 998 videos. So, yeah, we still have free PBX / I guess it's PBX Exact, whatever the commercial version is, because we bought one of the Sangoma devices. So that works great. How do I rate XCP-ng? It's what we use here, so I guess I would say I rate it very highly. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and log in and fire up the system real quick. Get stuff put in. I'll show you guys what I'm doing now, because now we can actually talk about it. And that didn't work. What's wrong with this thing? Oh, that's why. Woo, now it's working. Make sure this boots. Cool, that's booting. Now I can switch over to the other server. All right. Now we'll pull this up. Actually, got to go here to pools. And all the fun that is this. So here are the options on here. So you have to yum install open IPsec vSwitch, enable it. System control IPsec, enable this, and away we go. And then you end up with the ability also, you got to have the plugins compiled. This is the I did this on purpose. I have the pro version of Zen Orchestra, like the paid commercial, but I also compile it myself because I want to help home users. I have videos on that. This is the, as you can see at the bottom, no support version, and that does work. The encapsulation options are GRE and VXLAN. These are both options in here that you can create to create these LANs, and of course then you can create encrypted ones as well. You select the interface you want to tie it to, and I'll be doing some videos on this because I know there's been a lot of questions on it, and which is fair. But these allow you to create private networks, private SDN. So if we go over here to XCP-ng SDN, I think there's a blog post on it. It's all those posts. Where's their blog post on it? Somewhere they have the whole SDN on there. SDN. There we go. There's a lot of write-ups on it, and I've went through and been testing this and playing with it. So I'll be doing a video, like I said, on these topics right here. Let me jump over back to the comments. So yeah, the system is pretty cool that they built all this in. And what these private networks allow you to do is create an encrypted tunnel network that goes between servers, either using the VXLAN or the private networks. That way you can create all these other virtual machines that have one virtual machine as a head end or one firewall as a head end that may be virtualized as well. Then all of your stack running behind it on a private network being passed across. And those servers can be in separate, I guess you could stretch it to separate data centers, but probably you want to run them all within the same racks and create a private network between them. I did a video on VLANs, which is mostly how we handle all of our private servers right now, is we just create VLANs between the servers, but this is another extra step that you can do on there as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, if you're using ZFS and NFS, you really do want a fast log device for the writes, for the asynchronous write issues. It will speed things up. So that's definitely a big plus to have that in there. Windows 10 Black Spider, zero interest in that. I use Linux, I use Kali Linux or Parrot for pen testing. I can't think of any reason I want to use Windows 10 for pen testing. My office is my home lab. There's nothing really at my home. So my lab is here. It's partially here. It's partially at the other side of the building. It's all mixed in there. That's why my staff had come in and knocked on the door, because I turned on a server. If I could change a few things about XCP-ng, what would they be? I don't know. Every time I've talked to them or suggested anything, they implement it. So they keep implementing more and more things. So I don't have, maybe, and this is something that they could do, is if you build the RAID array inside there, they don't seem to have any monitoring tools if you use their system to build a RAID array. They don't have them natively built in. I don't think I've seen any in there. So that's probably the only ask I might be able to think of here is that. You find it looking for a RAID cache or mind track for slow file access. There's a lot that can go into slow file access. So without knowing the entire stack that you have set up, I don't know. Slow file access could be because you're using slow hardware. I don't know without a lot more information. Cisco has to have all the VLANs to find or it won't pass them through, for a person asking about Cisco and pfSense. Private networks instead of VLANs are just ways you can build more private networks. Now, the use case I kind of have for them is we're going to be doing some really specific secure testing on there. And I'll break down some of the use cases. It's kind of a niche use case for it, but it's still pretty cool to be able to do it. And it is something that you may even have across data centers. So it's a way to create a special private network for all your VMs that doesn't have a layer, because it's all encrypted. So it's, for example, you want to create a whole stack. You don't want it to pass through the network. It's just another way to do things. Yeah, Apache Guacamole is pretty cool. I don't use it much, but I've played with it. It's pretty neat. I don't plan to do a video on it for those asking. I don't use it enough to be competent enough to do a video on it. Have I seen the UniFi access controller? Nope, no, haven't played with it. Someone wants to send me one. I play with stuff that people send to me. If it's not stuff I usually buy, though. There's a lot of people ask me to review random stuff, and if I don't use it, I'm not going to review it. IPsec is a little bit faster than OpenVPN, but not by a lot. So for those of you wondering the speed difference, I've never sat down and done it, but they did over at Netgate. Go to their site, they'll tell you the speed difference between them. So it's not really much of a best practice as much as which one works for you. I like OpenVPN. It's a solid protocol. I'm used to setting it up. I'm faster at setting up OpenVPN. It works, so I use it. But if you have the need for speed, and that's the absolute biggest request, well, OpenVPN is, I think, just a little bit slower than IPsec on there. Not like night and day, not like half, but like there is some slight speed difference. So No, iSCSI doesn't work on multiple computers at the same time. It doesn't work that way. OpenVPN is not, to my knowledge, limited per core. Maybe older versions, but I've seen multi-core usage on it. So it doesn't seem to pin one core at a time. Maybe one user per one core, but not the overall for it. So, but I'm not 100% on that. And then maybe everything will, maybe we'll get WireGuard sooner than later. It really has to be code auditors. I know everyone loves WireGuard because it just hit the kernel. It's going to be, I think it's in kernel 5.6, but it hasn't gone through a code review. The good news is the code review should be easier because there's less lines of code to review in it. But yeah, so it's going to probably be handy because it runs in ring 0 of the processor where it's a lot faster. It's a more modern written system. And yes, OpenVPN is free. OpenVPN is open source, by the way. I don't have any bandwidth issues, so I've never considered setting up a repository. There's plenty of instructions how to set up your own Debian repository internally to cache updates. Their updates aren't very big compared to the amount of bandwidth we have, so it's kind of a non-issue. So it's not like a problem for me. So I don't always look for solutions to problems I don't have. Sometimes they're fun exercises, or as I like to call them, an academic exercise, but they're not necessarily something that I really need to work on. So I still use Pop! OS. I have no interest in using Fedora. ZFS works on pfSense if you want to use it. If you're setting up more than one drive, it's not a bad choice. If you're just doing single drive, UFS is fine. I mean, single drive ZFS isn't that exciting. And I still use Pop! OS. That's still my daily driver. That's what's on this laptop. It works wonderful. I don't have any problems with it. I'm boring like that. People really get into distro hopping, and they ask me to do videos on it. And while I do know those videos will be really popular, because anyone I've seen who does videos and talks about distro hopping definitely gets a lot of views, I just don't do it to be concise enough on it. But I know it is something I do once when I've talked about it, but not enough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't do it enough, so. Open source autopilot, it sounds good in theory. I don't know how it works out in practice. I like the Pop! OS theming, but hey, you know, it's to each their own. Ubuntu 11.04. UniFi Dream Machine Pro. Back to, if they send me one, I'll certainly review it. Is there a decent mail client that talks to Exchange? I don't know. Use the web version. That if you're going to use Exchange server, just use the online web version. That might be a solution there. All right. What was I doing over here? Creating networks, maybe? I can't remember. What did you guys want to know about XCP-ng? There's a real question. Was there a real question I can answer on this topic? So let's actually look at the plugins on it. We'll switch it over here. Look at all these plugins that I have. Backup reports, perf alert. This is the important part, is that you have the SDN controller defined and set up. I don't even have these other ones turned on. And just so you can see, this is I compiled this version. And like I said, I use this version and I compile it just because I want to make sure that it's accessible for everyone who wants to use the free stuff to set up their home lab. I usually start here. I do have the full paid version as well that we run on our system. So it's just a matter of making sure that I like more people being able to use it. That's one of the reasons I cover a lot of things. That way people know they can. Now, this does require that you do things. I have a video on how to build this. if you look how to build Zen Orchestra from sources, I think I'm actually the one that comes up. Oh, the TrueNAS SCSI's broken because it's off. I don't want to turn that thing on. It's noisy. There's the NFS. Do I have? Yeah, and there's Dozer SCSI. I guess we could do a speed test again because I know someone asked already on that. But yeah, that's one of the things is which one's better? Here's one on SCSI, here's one on Lab Server. They both work pretty much the same though. You'll be disappointed. They're both on the same FreeNAS system. No, SFP plus transceivers don't go into SFP ports. You'll have problems. Is there any easy way to make a NIC promiscuous? I don't know. I never tried. I usually set up port mirrors. Way better idea. I think this is turning more into an Ask Me Anything. Oh, the UniFi thing. I've got a couple more videos. So that video about the warehouse we set up, which the haters are mashing away at the keyboard and telling me it'll fail, which, by the way, it's working right now. And I said that in the video, but matter of fact, my thoughts on this is YouTube. I think some people shouldn't be able to comment until after they watch the video. Like, I answer the questions in the video that and this goes throughout YouTube in the comments. I frequently answer questions in the video that are exactly answered in the video, but those questions pop up down below. And I'm like, they didn't even watch the video. They'll ask a question, and I like when sometimes people reply, it's in the title sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a clickbait kind of person here. So fun times with dealing with people. Let's see. Oh, I'm laughing at the people in their comments already. Here, well, let's look at YouTube commenters. People with lots of opinions. Nice, amazing I was seeing if there's some of the people already removed their comments because I replied it's in the comments and they go and delete theirs. This is all the fun I get to. I try to reply to everybody's comments. And I don't know what some people mean. No plugin info on any solution. Too much exposure on the camera. The devices are white. What does it matter if the devices are white? I don't. Now you can see why it's hard for me to reply to some people. I don't know. Let's see what else we have in here. Someone wants tutorials on ConnectWise. I'll be doing that. My UniFi with Ruckus for my warehouse. Cool. My UniFi replaced with Ruckus. That's interesting. And someone else had the opposite, that they replaced their Ruckus. They replaced something else with UniFi to make them happy. Tom reads YouTube comments. They're kind of mind-numbing on that sometimes. I try to reply to everybody, but oh, man. I have videos on how to start a business. I don't know, though. That's the problem. It's not an easy answer how to start the business. People ask how I got here, and I don't mind. There's nothing I don't mind talking about in terms of how I got here. I just don't know what value it will necessarily bring. I guess my story, I don't want people to think that my story is somehow a blueprint for how they should do it. Starting the company is really hard. I see a lot of people. Matter of fact, I have a video titled this. I hate my job is not a business plan. Because unfortunately, many of the people that want to talk about starting a business, they just don't like where they work. And I'm like, well, then go get another job. You may not work at the right place. It's not necessarily that I think everyone should start a business because they hate their job. And this is what leads to some of these, I don't know, a lot of people that maybe shouldn't have started, then they fail. They waste a lot of money and time and effort and kind of set their career path backwards trying to do it. You have to really think about that in depth before you decide if you're going to start a company or not. If you create a snapshot in Synology, will that get ransomware too if the Synology gets ransomware? If they get access to the Synology, ideally you should not have the same username and password that controls the snapshots like the admin of the Synology available on the network. But if in the case that you do, which a lot of people do, that would, of course, it depends on their access, the bad actors' access to Synology. That is going to be the problem you run into. Let's see, what else we have here? Yeah, maybe I'll inspire someone with it. Okay, I guess, I've been working in tech for a long time. So let me think. So I've been working in tech for about 25 plus years now, and I've had the business for 17. So while I can document the journey for how I started it, everybody's circumstances are extremely different. Now, what I have done is really push the fact that you really need a good marketing plan and sales. And that's the part where a lot of technical people just fall down. So I did think about putting together maybe something else in my forum posts about this. This is like a key to starting it that I think tech people have the hardest time with by far. And matter of fact, if you spend any time in Reddit/RMSP, that's a constant repeated problem where people say, what about good marketing? What about good marketing? And it's because they look for technical solutions, and the reality of it is, and I seen someone post this in there, which is very on point, where it's all about relationship building, and I had some wording around there, and I'm like, cool, I might even reach out to that person and do an interview with them. I don't know. They nailed some of the topics, but they're the same topics I think of as well. I just kind of like doing the back and forth banter with someone. But that's the part where everyone fails in the business. Is it's about process. That's important that you have processes that are clear, which some people overthink the hell out of that. But even more important is you have customers. If you don't have customers, one of the biggest reasons businesses of any category fail is either like a lack of market demand for their product, or sometimes their inability to create demand or create an understanding between customers for demand for their product. And technical people aren't necessarily personable people. That sometimes can be opposed. It's not always, but that's where people start running into problems. They're not willing to get out there. They're like, I can't find some magic advertisement that brought me business. What do I do next? Go out and meet people. I've said that on a dozen different videos. You have to get out in front of people. You have to come out, get out there, socialize, be personable. And if you're saying I'm not that person, well, you have to either figure out how to have enough money together to find that personable social person to get into it. Those are some of your huge things there. You're about. I don't know why I've answered your question, David G. So I don't understand why you keep asking it. There we go. So to do the generic DAC cables, yes, those do work. I've talked about there. That is definitely the DAC cables, which you just got some more of them. Where'd they go? This company here, 10G Tech, these have been great. These are all the ones we bought that for like every server that has double connections and everything, and ones we put in for clients. These 10G Tech cables are just been great. We've been buying them for a while. They work great for that. They seem to work with everything that we've put them in. So, have you tried SEO? We have a whole video on why SEO is dead, and SEO is all about content. VMware XCP-ng experience with backup agents. You need a separate backup agent for Exchange and SQL. That is outside of XCP-ng completely. XCP-ng backs up virtual machines. The contents of those virtual machines, such as an Exchange server or a SQL server, completely separate problem. They don't. So there's not any way to make them work together. Watching from Botswana. I don't even know where. I mean, I kind of know where that is. I don't know exactly. I couldn't find it on a map. I'll admit. But cool. Thank you. All the way from Botswana. Awesome. So hopefully I answered the question about the backup agent. Does UniFi controllers with AI help, or is it doing nothing? I think it does something. I think it does some auto tuning. I don't know because we've played with it. It didn't break anything, but we weren't having problems. So I didn't have problems before I turned it on. And the good news is I didn't have problems after I turned it on. So I don't know. It works, I think, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't. I don't know enough about it. It's a little. I don't know if they've updated documentation. I'll say that as well. It has some things. It kind of says what it's doing. I guess it's doing it. It's finding and doing a scan, finding and putting the radio frequencies in the right order. We've turned it on. It didn't break anything. So we'll go with that and say yes. I didn't know anyone who wouldn't reuse fiber infrastructure. Use fiber patch panel is different story. Throw those out. There is a weirdness that we have where I think it's just they want to upsell. They wanted to rerun all the fiber. That was actually the other vendor that bid against us was insistent on it. So they had questions for us of why we didn't want to do it. And they really wanted us to provide a quote on it. So that's something, yeah. Running outdoor cat for camera, get outdoor cat cable for camera. Hard disks that, don't, if you want to run virtualized FreeNAS, I've talked about this in the last video as well. You can, I don't recommend it. If you want a virtualized FreeNAS, I have one about passing through hard drives. It's not something I would run in production. It's just one of those things. If you want to play with it, go ahead. I don't think I would actually run that in production. Conduits are awesome. Use conduit. I mean, you don't need to, but are you worried about someone cutting the cable? That's what conduit's for. It's pretty much that I know of. It's certainly not in Michigan and the places we install where conduit's not code, but we do a lot of conduit. For example, we did a lot of car dealerships, and we have to put it in conduit per their requirements because they just know, things hit the wall and break it and they lean things against the wall. So the plugs are down low and they have conduit that has to go 12 feet up because they figure no one's going to break the wire up above 12 feet. So we do see a lot of conduit in machine shops or dealerships. Outside, if it's a run where someone may have access to it to cut it, sure. But most of the time when we're mounting cameras outside, you don't even see the cable outside because you do a drill through and the cable comes through the camera and goes in, so the cable's not even actually exposed outside. I would never recommend using a USG Pro for school, but the USG Pro, don't use it in school. Ubiquiti APs, we use them in schools. We've done several. We just did another consulting job yesterday. I know because I was looking at the bookings. Steve did it, not me, and it was with a school, so yes. Thoughts on device plane? Don't know what it is. No thoughts on it. Open source firewall other than pfSense. Untangle's technically an open source firewall with upsell add-ons to it. So those are the two big ones. There's not a lot. I'm not going to say there's not a lot of open source firewalls. There's not a lot that are well vetted. And you look at like the recent security problems found with, I think it was the Tomato firmware, which is popular for some of the ASUS routers and things like that. Firewalls are the dividing line between you and the internet. You really want one that's secure. If someone goes through and proves that they've made something really secure and it's got strong community support, awesome. That's not a lot. That's a really short list. So that's why I don't have a long list of recommendations. Years ago, I'd use like IPCOP and some of those, but I don't know where the development stands on any of those right now. Let's see. I have no use case for OpenSense. OpenSense is a fork of pfSense that I don't know why I would use. It doesn't offer anything compelling that I don't find in pfSense, but it does have, it updates a whole lot. Yeah, and someone else says strips out features. I've not used it. A few people said it's missing features. A few other people snap back saying it has more features. Nothing about it compels me, but I do know updates that come frequently would be greatly inconvenient to our workflow if we had to spend a lot of time constantly updating firewalls and rebooting them. We have a lot of firewalls deployed. And people ask about management of pfSense, I mean, you just log into each one, because when there's a new version of pfSense for one device, there's a new version of pfSense for all the devices. So the upgrade cycle is not like this random, I don't know which ones are out of date. You update them all at once. You start the project with a list of pfSense boxes that you manage and update. And when there's a new version of pfSense, you go and update them all. Not real difficult, at least in my thoughts. Other people seem to think this is a really complicated topic that they need some type of massive control panels for. And I just say, well, yeah, so yeah. pfSense, BSD jails. I cannot think of it does not have, that I know of, BSD jails. It is based on BSD. You could probably put them in there, but I don't have a use case for that. What else we got? What is your preferred source for learning? Configure, more importantly, secure computer edge. Oh, how do you configure the edge products? The UniFi forums. So that would probably be the best place to do some reading on those. They have their own guide on it. You can read. They have manuals. Read through the manuals. RTFM on those to learn how to configure them. Chris from Crosstalk. He's got a handful of videos on the edge line of equipment and configuring them. So. What else do we have in here? I don't understand the VLAN question. Can you talk about UPS protection? Not today. Don't feel like it. There's a couple companies that have worked on some type of central system for that. Drop ceiling AP on above or on tiles. You mount them to the tile. Do not stick it above there. That doesn't look good. Yeah, I've seen, there's a company that actually offers central management for pfSense. I'm looking at using Ansible to do it, because there's some, me and my friend talked about central management through Ansible might be an easier way to manage pfSense. There's a few people that, if you type in Ansible pfSense, you'll already find some GitHubs. 2 of them, I think, started on that. So I don't know. I don't care enough about UPS protection to do in-depth videos on it. You get the nut. If you're using open source, you can use the NUT, send some scripts, and listen for a UPS shutdown. That's not, yeah. I do have videos already on Ansible. I have 2 hours of content regarding Ansible on my channel already. So Ansible's definitely pretty cool. Ansible pfSense is really cool because there's actually a decent amount of things that you can do from the command line already on it. So yeah, Ansible, Terraform is a great combo too if you want to get into the full deep into DevOps and things like that. So definitely really cool. But I have no interest in doing, it's such niche content, and I don't really feel like taking the time to make videos on the UPS stuff. UPSs are just not that exciting. That's my thoughts on that. It's one of those things like, it just doesn't interest me. And if it doesn't interest me, I don't do a video on it because it's I don't know, it's too basic, I guess. How does the Tesla hand on Wisconsin or on rural roads? There's a guy called Dirty Tesla that's all he does is videos on it, but not too bad. It seems to do okay on rural roads. It's kind of hit and miss. It's gotten better, but I hardly ever drive on dirt roads. But 2-lane roads, like standard paved, marked 2-lane roads, it does great on, no problems at all. So, but dirt roads, it's hit and miss on dirt roads. Does my know-how come from experience or mostly certifications? Oh yeah, all know-how is from me doing. I have 0 certifications. I am the holder of a high school diploma. That is the full list, top to bottom, of my certifications. I think I graduated from elementary school too. Maybe they gave me something for that. Kindergarten I did. I know that you graduate from kindergarten. I think high school again, but that's it. I gave you my full list of certifications. Favorite tool for network discovery: workstation names, domain names, accounts, AD user, win update status. We just start loading our tools on it. We usually just nmap the network, get ideas of stuff, and we start loading tools on there. So we start getting status. We use SolarWinds. I've talked about that a few times. Don't you want to use your Tesla and power? I want to build my own Tesla Powerwall. That's actually on my to-do list. Are there any circumstances which DAC does not work and you must use fiber, or are they 100% interchangeable other than long distances? Yes, they are pretty much all interchangeable. There's no, other than the distance issue, which DAC cables will not go as far as fiber. So this DAC cable here, or the fiber cable that is out of my reach but within view, I've had it hanging over there, they're the same. So the DAC is completed because the copper and everything is all bound into this right here. But yes, I can swap this right away with a fiber and no problems with it at all. Certifications, yeah. Yeah, certifications are, some companies use it and it's a real thing. Like, they really have a thing about certifications, and they gatekeep with it because the problem, and it's really hard. This is a real big challenge companies have from an HR standpoint. How do I find qualified applicants? This is, the tech is so cutting edge, it still doesn't have the mature, not that it's without problems, but you take lawyers who have to pass bar exams, you have journeymans that you will have to get in certain trades. They have like a journeyman certification, at least here in the U.S. I imagine there's something similar in other countries. Or in doctors, you have to go through medical school and get certified there. Tech is way different, and it's hard to even keep up with the certifications and things like that. So it's a pretty big difference on there. I don't know if, but it's obviously very different in the tech business versus other industries that are service-based like that, where there's knowledge certifications. Now, we have gotten better with certifications. They used to be kind of a joke 20 years ago. People would get certified and stuff, but we would call them paper MCSEs, and they just were clueless people that we had to work alongside forever ago. And that was the past. It actually means something to pass those certifications now. They're substantially more in depth. They require actual skill to pass some of those certifications. And so there is some value to having them. I own a business, so no one asks me what my certifications are. Why is the TrueNAS shut down? Because it's noisy. I don't have it on when I'm not doing videos because it makes a lot of noise. Simple as that. How many APs you should get for a home is going to depend greatly on what the contents of that home are. Yeah, there's a DAC on my head. So that's a different problem. It's like my house has I have a 2,000 square foot house, and one AP covers it perfectly fine because I put it in the middle of the house and it seems to reach everything. But that isn't the case. I've got some people, we had one guy with a house not much bigger than mine that we needed 3 to get the coverage. It kind of depends on how bad the walls break that down and suck up the Wi-Fi. There's no easy way to solve that problem. Just so many people cheat on the exam. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, knowledge versus understanding. Yeah, Smarter Every Day is a great channel as well. That I've watched the Reverse Bike one. It's definitely, he's a smart dude. Works for NASA, I think, if I'm not mistaken. DAC is lower latency, so that Yes, I have a video where I specifically call that out too. So I didn't. That is a point that I didn't say when I said that they're interchangeable. Interchangeable from a functionality standpoint, other than distance. But yeah, there is a very slight latency because you're not muxing back and forth between optical and electric. Yep, we turned AI on large deployments and it seems to work. We haven't had problems with that. I said that earlier for UniFi AI. What else do we have here? He works for the Army on Red. Okay. I knew he worked somewhere. I thought it was some government capacity. Anyways, what are some of the other? Well, you got so many questions. Well, let's just watch this question scroll. This is how I see things. That's why I keep staring and looking at it like this. I don't know what UniFi experience means. If someone has a link to that, I'm not among the people that may know it. So, okay, so he does work on rockets, so I was close. Manage UniFi sites in our controller, I think is 50 or 60 or maybe 70. I don't know, a lot. I don't count. That's not some. I mean, there's more than 50. I know one time I counted it was over 50, but it may be more than that now. I don't remember. It was a while ago when I counted it. There's a lot. So yeah, there's that many. And some customers have their own controllers and cloud controllers, and other customers we've signed up with HostiFi, so they're also doing their controllers in HostiFi. So we kind of have such a mix depending on how the client wanted to handle things. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, the controller is really lightweight. It just does not take a lot to run the controller, so that's definitely not a big deal to have that running in there. I don't handle filtering for kids. So that's how I handle it by not handling it. I don't do filtering for kids' sites. I mean, DNS filtering, yeah, that's the answer. Like we don't handle the filtering for any of the school systems. They usually have their own internal systems for that. For businesses, we do it with the filtering that comes with SolarWinds. No, if you're getting heartbeat disconnect issues on your controller for UniFi, the reason you're getting them is either A, you have not properly tuned your UniFi controller to deal with a higher volume of data coming in it, or you do not have the ability to handle the higher volume of data that's coming into the UniFi controller by the fact that you don't have enough bandwidth coming in on the system. But the stun protocol, which facilitates that, the heartbeats that sends that message out, it's probably you have to make some adjustments for capacity. Nope, I never tried installing Proxmox. I don't use it. So I know you asked more question than that, but I don't use Proxmox, so I can stop the question at I've never installed Proxmox. On APAC, I find firmware update. Nope. I haven't had that problem. We push out firmware updates and they just go. Matter of fact, the picture on the table, which I'll actually switch to my photos and pull this up, and we can talk about that. We just updated all these. And there's this many more at another site. And these ones we did in-house, and then we pushed a firmware update to the other ones too. They all worked with 0 of them requiring a reboot. So, yeah, I mean, we've tested. I'm going to say that we've tested it. How's that? We haven't had a problem with it. So, yeah, you may have to migrate to the cloud. If you don't have enough bandwidth to handle it, it may be the whole thing you have to do. So, yeah, PowerEdge R710, still good for lab server. We're going to upgrade. I should upgrade. I'm it's almost embarrassing that I run my stuff on a R710, but I've talked about that too, where, yeah, we run it on an R710, but on the other side of that too, let me go over to our host here. And look at this load average, man. Whoa. We actually hit today. We did something. I don't know. My staff must have been doing something here, because now, we almost hit the 25% mark for just a moment, Oh, you know what? That was a backup running, because the backups run hourly. So that was one of the hourly backups probably that got kicked off. So the load average, memory usage, and we do have 2 servers, so let's look at the other host. And we'll look at this one here. What's this one doing? Oh, man, same thing. That's when that backup kicked in. So this one sits around below the 12% mark. This one's running the video controller, so it does have some steady here. A load average of 0.857, man. This is one of the reasons we haven't upgraded. It's very much a ain't broke, don't fix it problem. I know it should be replaced because they're older servers, but the VMs that are running can be all on one server or the other without an issue at all. So that's why we've been slow to replace them. There's very low demand on any of this. It's so low. So that's why a lot of that works. You're right. It is about the snappiness, and that charts won't show me this. So yes, things I can't show you, but I can reference. We have over 20,000 invoices and close to 7,000 customers because of the retail customers that are in there as well when I accumulate them together. And that's our invoicing system. I'm able to pull up an invoice in seconds. It literally, as I type it, it auto-completes and does its lookup with usernames and things like that. It's instantaneous, so I should say milliseconds. Back to the ain't broke, don't fix it. So with all that load we have on there, and I am running Bitwarden and other things on there, it just works. And Bitwarden, because it has a dependency on Microsoft SQL Server in the back end, is actually one of the more intensive things on there, and even that's really fast. So it really hasn't been an absolutely huge deal. Now, if we were running anything Windows, we would have to get rid of that server. Windows is a hog, so yeah, we don't run Windows. That's part of the reason we're able to get away with what we're, using older hardware without a problem. Yeah, like someone said, it's about Windows. We just don't. We have very, very few clients that need any backup lines, and the reason why is because we have 3 fiber providers and 3 cable providers and DSL here in Michigan. So all the clients within our range, they almost always, their backup plan is just to get, we even have site-to-site wireless offered by several companies in the area for backups again. So we just rarely need to get a 4G solution because there's already all these other options coming at them. Most things in Proxmox, Linux container, but Bitwarden in a VM because MS SQL won't run LXC. Fair enough. So, cool. Central auth for Linux systems. There's, I think, free IPA and Radius and LDAP. There's a handful of things, but there's no Active Directory glue that's super common and super interoperable for Linux. So it's not really something that's I'm likely to do a video on, and most of the time it's less common. So it's not, and matter of fact, even in some of the larger companies we've seen there's not a lot of central management. And once they get bigger, they usually, and even tied to their Active Directory server, they'll have Linux tied to that. Or they're using LDAP or something like that. Zential server's neat. We don't use it, but I've seen it. A lot of people ask about it. I don't use it. That's why I don't do videos on it. This is really turning into an Ask Me Anything, man. Keep the questions rolling. Because I already forgot what I was going to talk about when I started this an hour ago. Yeah, Linux is, there's a lot of integration. Samba ties to Active Directory. There's ways to tie Linux to Active Directory. Active Directory, it's so out there. You know, yes, we know it's a Microsoft protocol type thing, but it's just become used for most things, for authentication and for management of things. It's kind of the elephant in a room that you can't ignore in the corporate world, so people just use it rather than develop a competitor for it. Endpoint management system, we use SolarWinds for endpoint management. I don't know if that's your question or not. My laptop's running Pop! OS. Suitable Linux equivalent for terminal gateway. Someone had mentioned before, I think you can do it with Guacamole, but not really. Probably if you just did VPN and then used X2Go, that would probably be easy enough to do. You just do it by name or IP address. I have a couple of videos on X2Go. An AD alternative? Guac is web browser based, but it lets you connect to other systems. But I think it has like an interface on top of it. It's been a long time since I looked at that project that allows you to pick which server. Like you can set it up to pick which server that you get into. Yeah, or because, see, if you use a VPN, you would just connect to whatever computers you wanted to connect to with X2Go. If that's your goal, I guess I need to know what you're trying to get from and to. Yeah, most utilize some version of Sonda LDAP. It really depends. And for a lot of people, when you're talking about federation to the system, they'll use single sign-on through something like Google. And you'll just tie a lot of companies, they operate in the cloud. You know, my friend's company, we looking how they design everything. They design everything in cloud. They federate all the apps that all of his staff uses, and his staff's all scattered around through the U.S. And they're using. We actually have some clients that do the same thing. They have everything tied to the Google single sign-on, so they're doing central management not through Active Directory but through Google single sign-on, and that's completely an option that works really well for a lot of people. Do you need a college degree to work in cybersecurity? Not necessarily. Not everyone I know working in cybersecurity has a degree. I have if you look for Chris Roberts getting started in cybersecurity, we have a video on that topic. SolarWinds RMM. We don't use N-Central. Yeah, that Slim Plus thing is stupid. Can go back there. X2Go, yes. I've used X2Go for some instances. We had it set up on some Raspberry Pis. It's pretty cool, but yeah. When customers want RDP open, really simple. We sell them a VPN. We sell them the normal, get a firewall, VPN, set up VPN, RDP into box. That's the simple solution. You want to only whitelist certain things on the internet? Good luck. Could you do it? Yeah. It all depends on if you have the time to do it. So it would be a challenge to do. You have to try and figure out every IP that's relevant and only allow them. Good luck. It will be a job for you. Oh, let's see. Domain-based whitelist. You can, but trying to figure out only and exclusively what you want on the internet and nothing else, it's going to be tedious. I'm not saying impossible, just tedious. Yeah. Sell them a VPN with pfSense. Makes complete sense. Don't RDP port forward. That's true. I'm not on the product team for Netgate, so I don't really know of anything. I hope they're working on new products, but I have no inside information on it. They don't really send me a lot of stuff. They send me some stuff here and there. I talk to them. They are very forthcoming with data if I need something, but you know, I don't have any insight into their product development process. So that's not anything I have any information on. Hardware certified? Yes. So XCP-ng is going to be based very closely on the Citrix Zen server. So the Citrix hardware certification matches the same one for XCP-ng. So if you look up what's available on the Citrix hardware certified, you can just drop XCP-ng in as a replacement for that. They're one and the same. VNC, yeah, there's been some bugs in VNC. Just make sure it's patched. I know they're resolved, but keep an eye out for patches and bugs that were in there. Wow, 261 people. We just want to turn this all into questions, or is there something I should show you guys? I'm just asking. I mean, I like doing the Q&A. It's kind of fun. I wonder, I've been trying to, because there's also... Oh, great. Here, this doesn't show anything. I got screenshotted here, so that's fun. I do have this channel that I started for the company because people ask me, but I randomly participate in it. Oh. So that's a whole different topic. Yes, Sakuro, yes, you stay updated. I want more people in there. I just don't have time for real-time chat. Like, I dedicate this time for the real-time chat. Other than that, I don't participate in a lot of real-time chat. Most of my stuff is direct back and forth between people and things like that. Oh, wow, I got a lot of messages here. No, okay, make sure none of these are really important. They're not. Okay. Because I have my phone off, so. No, you're not getting any anime on Discord. There's enough other places to put anime. Hey, good to hear that I'm helping you out there in Oklahoma. Because you know what about Oklahoma? Oklahoma is okay. That is... vertical monitor just for chat? Yeah. I worked on some that had the PAP and EAP TLS. I'm not an expert at it. I worked on it. I've got it working. It's on my to-do list to maybe get more in depth on it. So yeah, dad jokes. Oh yes, plenty of dad jokes. Self-hosted RSS aggregator. Those are cool. I haven't played with any RSS aggregation tools in a while. I'm just obsessively read everything. That's probably a whole different... A few people ask that, and I mean, not a big deal. I can certainly even show it here. But I could probably make these public. I imagine there's at least one or two of you that are Redditors inside of here, if I'll make that assumption. So if we go over here... And if you want to know what I do, let's see, we have tech. And it's public. So we'll show you this here. And I just collect a bunch of subreddits together that I go through. So there's the tech ones. I have some Linux ones. So it's kind of interesting. There's just a bunch of random Linux stuff. This is kind of my regular reading that I do on here. And I don't care if people know my Reddit username. There's nothing really interesting on my Reddit. There's nothing, nothing that interesting in there. A collection of business stuff that I do. Maybe, I think I've posted this in my forums. There's the retro gaming subreddit collection, because when I get into retro gaming, which is randomly, PC pics, some memes and things like that. You know, the usual silliness. I mentioned before in my other video, you know, I measure how well things are going with how much time I can go beyond looking at memes. Do you trust VM appliances, Bitnami, Turnkey, Linux? I don't know. I haven't used them. Tech boredom and burnout? I don't know. I guess some people get burnout. It really does. It varies. I don't know what causes it. I've definitely gotten burned out on things, so. Do you think DOMless Zen will speed up large compression speed? I don't know. Sounds like a good question for their forums. I don't have an answer to that. Make sure you don't. Make sure you find GitHub, awesome sysadmin, and awesome self-hosted. Yeah. Start on BOFH. Yes. I remember that old. I used to read that forever ago. VPN. Zero tier is nice, but zero tier is not zero trust. VPN is zero trust, so that's still my preference for things. Because unless you, well, zero tier is zero trust if you host the control plane yourself. So, awesome. Oh, more messages. Lots of fun reading here. What are the other questions we have? I'm actually starting to wind down on questions here. What percentage of your business is break fix versus managed service? What do you consider break fix? And I ask that question because I've seen people talk about break fix and, oh, you break fix that. Do you consider the projects we do break fix? Like when we do the big Wi-Fi install, like the video we did, is that a break fix? And the reason I ask that is because that's actually still where the majority of my company's money comes from, is project based. So project is project break fix. So if you say project is break fix, then we're more break fix than MSP. If you say one-off computer repair for customers that aren't on any type of MSP contract, MSP probably dominates over that now because we've switched so many people over to MSP versus the one-off. We still do the one-off, though. We absolutely have no problem taking care of companies that, and it's in revenue. We have more companies that use us for IT on non-contract basis in terms of numbers, but in terms of dollars, a lot of those companies, like we have a small accounting office that he only comes here when something breaks. Something breaks like once a year. So quantity-wise, they represent a big number of customers. Dollar-wise, they don't spend as much. But that varies, and there's a lot of nuance to that. And we don't manage the Wi-Fi connection when we do that install. Yeah, proud project. So, I mean, when we did that Wi-Fi, we're doing it for their internal IT team. So once a project is done, there's no recurring revenue. So if you defined it as recurring revenue, when that job is done and delivered, well, the first project is, the second warehouse, all the stuff sitting over here. Those projects are break fix, if you will. And break fix sounds wrong because it wasn't broken, it was upgrade. So it's not really fixed, it's just upgrade. And when we're done, the IT team that owns the internal IT that runs the warehouse, it's in their controller, so there's no recurring revenue from it. So back to how you define things is the real question here. How do you define it? I don't use Nextcloud, so And I needed some spicy. That's why I did that. So sorry for the crunching. I would use Bitwarden. I don't know how well code vetted the one inside of a Nextcloud is, but I can tell you the one for Bitwarden, solid. Very solid. Gone through code audit. Really good. We don't have that much storage. The biggest storage machine we have is my FreeNAS box. So let's log into that real quick. Here is our incredibly huge and massive 9.4 terabytes left storage server. Yeah, so we're using 2.5 terabytes, 2.54 terabytes in there. So no, I don't have that much stuff to store. This is actually the biggest one right here is 1.5 terabytes is LTS video work. What else is in here? There's the iSCSI and the Zen Labs. So that's the lab stuff that you see running on Zen server. So we really don't have much data. Nature of what we do, even all the VMs we have that we back up aren't very big. So we don't have a lot of storage needs. So no, I don't have 100 terabytes. TrueNAS is awesome if you need the support agreements. FreeNAS is fine if you just need it to run. And you're fine with speccing out the hardware and supporting it. TrueNAS is awesome when it comes to support. Like, they have everything. They have all the stuff in there. So I really, it's a great system. And for people that have these absolutely on-demand, I need everything, that's awesome. We happen to be technicians. We have backups running hourly. If the system were to completely burst into flames, we can just hit restore and do that ourselves. That's not something we expect for our clients. So we sell clients things like TrueNAS with redundancy, et cetera, for critical. That's the difference. It really comes down to use case. DNS rebind attack, that's a much longer discussion I can get into here. That's probably a better forum post, but seriously, go into Nextcloud's forums, you can figure that one out. I don't know. The problem with making a HA proxy pfSense cert videos, I have to show my public IP to get it all set up. Yeah, and then people start DDoSing you when you show your public IP and create a headache. That's why I haven't done it, in case you're wondering. Antivirus, right now, Sentinel-1. And yes, we manage it. It's all part of our SolarWinds stack. I'll do another stack video. I have old videos about our stack, and it says we use Bitdefender because that was true then. Now we're using Sentinel-1. Yep, MSP backup offerings, we do that. Never use the phone to manage things. Data center tour, I have to get permission. I'm waiting on permission. Turns out lawyers work slow. Not my lawyers, their lawyers. Their lawyers are deciding. They have internal legal teams, and they're deciding whether or not we are allowed to take pictures in a data center. That's the challenge on all that. Yes, I could build it all out in Azure, but then I have to take the time to build it out in Azure. It's just a time thing. I have my lab here. I can click a button and have pfSense turned on in 10 seconds. So, nope, don't use ESET. Have no thoughts on it. Do we have European customers? Yes, we do. We've got European customers, Australian customers. I'm trying to think of where else. Definitely Canadians. Handful of Canadians, too. Yeah, someone who worked in a banking data center, they know. They don't like cameras. You are right. They're figuring that out for me. So that's, like I said, not easy. So the Cloudberry stuff, we've done some of it, but not all of it. We're waiting on some more changes. We still are doing it, but there's kind of a mix now. So now we have some stuff on SolarWinds, some stuff on Cloudberry, and we're sorting those details out. How do you deal with data requests and compliance with the Euro clients? We comply with them. No one's ever done any requests, but there is a purge option, and it's even simpler though because we don't have any ongoing recurring revenue coming from Europe. It's all just been one-off consulting, so we're not even gathering any data on the people. There's not anything to have. So with very, very few exceptions of a couple that we invoice, if they were to ask us to purge them, we could. We have that ability to. But we don't really have them in our system because they're one-off. So they pay through our booking system, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Yeah, defense contractors don't like them either. That's true. Nope, I have no plans for a zero-tier controller setup video because I've never set one up, and it's just not something I'm interested in doing. I don't use the Bitwarden desktop client, so no opinion on it. Awesome. Well, I'm going to start winding this down because I do have to reply to a bunch of emails. So that is the unfortunate life I have sometimes, is sitting and replying to emails. Not thrilling, but necessary. Disk level backups. SolarWinds and MSP360 both have disk level backups. MikroTik versus Ubiquiti. It depends on the use case. Mostly Ubiquiti. But if I needed a cheap 10 gig switch, Ubiquiti makes a cheap 10 gig switch. Ooh, favorite Darknet Diary episode. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. I like them all. Does TeamViewer save? I don't know. I don't use it. Maybe? Nope. I do not have any 16 XGs set up with inter VLAN routing. I believe they support it, but I have not done any testing with it. Hey, awesome from Jeremy. Simple Help is self-hosted. Smash that like button. Yes, do that. There's 238 of you. If I can get 238 likes before you leave, that would be awesome. So before we wind this down, if everyone could click the like button, that would be great. I'm also, like I said, I do have to get back to doing some stuff. There wasn't a exploit in TeamViewer. There was a disclosure that TeamViewer didn't disclose things. That would be the better way to describe it. Smash that like button, Kingdom. Look at that, 97, 98. Here, I'll let you guys watch. Watch you guys smash the like button. Make that number bigger. 99 likes. Can we break 100? Do we have 100, folks? All right, 100. There's someone going to unclick it because they don't like when I talk about pressing the like button. There we go. Let's see. Fortune Cookie says, attend business, leave that flower, that sidewalk alone. Where have you hidden my tacos? I don't know where the tacos are. Tacos sound good. I'm hungry. That's why I'm starting to eat more hot sauce here. While you guys are clicking a like button, I'm thinking about food. Hey. What? Child has arrived. Why are you wearing a helmet?
I'm going snowboarding.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It snowed here in Michigan, so my son's going snowboarding. But I bet you're here for money.
No, actually I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Will I review the Dream Machine Pro? If they send me the Dream Machine Pro, yes. I will certainly do it. Yeah, like my son said, yes. iDrac or Lilo? I don't know. One of those. You just came in to say hi?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm winding it down.
Oh, yeah, and sign things.
Oh, I got to sign things?
No.
No? Okay, cool.
It's done.
It's done? All right, cool. So, anyways, we're just south of Detroit. That's where this office, studio, and everything's located. So we dwell there. All our LawrenceSystems.com for all of our address information and all that. I don't even think Dream Machine Pro looks good for small offices. I don't know. Until they fix the USG and make it a more fulfilling product, anytime someone has a more advanced use case, that's my big problem with the USG, is it seems to lack any good advanced use cases. As soon as people go, I want this, this, and this, I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't do that, that, and that, and then they end up getting something else. 126 likes. Nope, I'm not doing a video about Overt. I don't use it, therefore I will not be doing a video about Overt. I like that they're trying to put everything in the UniFi Dream Machine, but we'll see. I mean, look what UniFi did to the camera systems. I'm not trying to dog on the company. I love their Wi-Fi. Matter of fact, there's 82 access points right here. They get that part right. Keep that up. I mean, I keep buying access points because it keeps working. Their other stuff has got this roadmap that I can't figure out. And I wish they would just tell us. That would be wonderful. Why would I put the transparent PF Sense with the USG? It doesn't make any sense. I guess as a lab just to play with it, but I don't know why I would. Bring on Wi-Fi 6, yeah. That's a different issue. All right, well, I'm going to get back to playing with stuff and making some other videos. That's on my to-do list for today and trying to reply to everybody's comments. That is next, because I got to reply to emails first. That is, in case you're one of those people waiting on a reply, I'm trying to get everything done within 24 hours, but right now I'm at 36 hours ago before I've replied to a couple emails. Just a couple of them. There are sales inquiries, which customers always come first, especially because Brett is on vacation this week. So it's always customers first, then sales inquiries I reply to. That's always my priority when we do things. So I still do some work at this company. I mean, I don't just make videos, but especially because Brett's off this week, it's harder because now I got to do all the things Brett does because he's on vacation. He'll be back next week. So I think that's it. Thank you. I got 131 likes on this now. That is awesome. Look for more content. Participate in the forums. I spend a lot more time in the forums. That I do commit to. I put time in the forums. I reply to people's messages. I do my best to at least point you in the right direction, leave you a link to a resource and things like that. Brett is a consultant. I still consider him working here. He's here full time. He's a full-time consultant. Does that make sense? Legal status is consultant. He's not like payroll. We use a lot of contractors here, and Brett's currently technically on the side of contractor. I need to do a video about that because I think that's something people get confused about is structure of the company and how we handle things, how you get a big project done when you only seem to have a few employees. But we do have a lot of contractors. The core team, that's why it even says core team on the website. That's an important distinction of who the core team is versus the regular contractors we use all the time. There's not a forum on this. I have a video on the Synology surveillance station. There's probably a Synology forum for the surveillance station. So hopefully that helps. All right, I'm going to wander off now. So I've been saying it for a few minutes, but I'm actually going to end the stream. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, all of you that made it possible to hit 100,000 on here because that's awesome. And it does keep me motivated to keep more videos, just not videos on UPSs like people have asked me to. They're just not that interesting. So I will go in my office, reply to some emails, and I need to eat too. That's why I'm munching right now, and I think I'm getting hungry. Not hangry. I don't know if you get hangry, but I am a little bit hungry. Thanks.